Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said yes to two things: wanting an end to the war in Gaza and taking over Gaza City, just when the United Nations has officially declared famine in the Strip.
Finding food has become very difficult. When I leave, our children faint at home.
Even if you cut us into pieces, it is impossible for us to leave Gaza, because this is where we were born. We lost our home, we were destroyed, those are civilians. Why did they hit them? Why did they hit them? My nerves are frayed, I can't take it anymore. I arrived today at Gaza Division to approve the plans that the Israeli army presented to me and the Minister of Defense for taking over Gaza City and defeating Hamas.
How does one end the war? By extending it. Does Netanyahu really have a plan for Gaza? And can he survive the fury of his own people? I'm Ananya Dutta. This is Grey Zone. In 2 weeks from now, it will be 2 years of the gruesome Hamas attack and Israel's assault on Gaza, a war that the UN chief describes as the worst he has seen in his career. A week ago, Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal that was brokered by Qatar and Egypt. And while we all waited for the Israeli response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision in the last 5 days say much more than the final decision ever will. On Monday, Tel Aviv received Hamas's approval of the deal. Instead of welcoming it, Israel said it needs 5 days. The silence was strategic, a reminder that even as Hamas says yes, the real decision rests with Netanyahu. Then on Tuesday, Netanyahu wasn't focused on Gaza at all. He turned his anger outward, blasting the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for quote-unquote betraying Australian Jews. This was after Canberra said it would recognize the Palestinian state. By Wednesday, the waiting game was over. The Occupy Gaza City plan came into effect. The city, with a population of 1 million people, saw Israeli tanks and troops roll into their city once again. The neighborhoods had already been reduced to rubble, confirmed to us by ex-Israeli military chiefs themselves. Tel Aviv says the operation is crucial for its war goals. Netanyahu's comments about the operations and negotiations came in the same breath.
I arrived today at Gaza Division to approve the plans that the Israeli army presented to me and the Minister of Defense for taking over Gaza City and defeating Hamas. I greatly appreciate the presence of the reserve soldiers, and of course the regular army, for this vital goal. At the same time, I have issued instructions to begin immediate negotiations for the release of all our hostages and an end to the war on terms acceptable to Israel.
Then on Thursday, Netanyahu instructed his team to resume negotiations over the ceasefire deal. Diplomats have gone back to the table, even as the army pushed deeper into Gaza. And finally, on Friday, that's today, Israel is expected to deliver its response to the ceasefire deal. But the writing is already on the wall. Netanyahu wants Gaza City, he wants a deal, and he wants it on his own terms. So basically, he wants to have the cake and eat it too. Since the war has dragged on for this long, it has opened new fronts for the Israeli Prime Minister. If in the beginning it was just Hamas fighting him, now 2 other fronts have opened. International community and his own people now are standing against him. Hundreds and thousands of people have been coming onto the streets daily to call for the return of the hostages and an end to the war. 50 hostages are still held by militants in Gaza, 20 of whom are estimated to be alive.
We are protesting against the starvation that the JHF is causing in Gaza, hoping to bring more aid and to stop the starvation and the genocide that's happening in the Gaza Strip.
As anger towards this rises, the Israeli military has called up 60,000 reservists and extended the service of another 20,000 for the Gaza City operation. It is likely to take weeks for these decisions to materialize, but they have already sparked growing condemnation both internationally and domestically.
We are fighting for 2 years against ghosts, really, not really achieving any real achievement, let's say, against these terrorists. What we're doing today is actually killing our hostages. A war now occupying Gaza will cause directly the killing of the hostages, killing of soldiers, Israeli soldiers that will be killed during this operation, and killing, again, thousands of Palestinians that will die as well.
Internationally, the anger against the Israeli government has increased multifold. The countries who have traditionally been allies of Israel are today calling for an end to the war and recognition of the Palestinian state. The UK, Australia and Japan are among 21 countries who are speaking against Israel's plans in Gaza as well as West Bank. All eyes now are on the United Nations General Assembly in September, that's next month, where a discussion will be held on recognizing the state of Palestine. Remember, 147 out of 193 UN member states already recognize it. And France, Britain, Canada, Australia and Malta, 5 countries, are expected to join the list. Despite international pressure, Netanyahu has made it pretty clear that he will continue with his plan. But the question is, what is his Gaza plan? Iran is trying to understand the same, but with a subtle message. Or maybe not so subtle after all. A few months ago, Iran and Israel clashed in an intense 12-day war. For the first time since then, its navy launched its first military exercise, codenamed Sustainable Power 1404. The drill unfolded across the Gulf of Oman and the Indian Ocean. Aerial units, coastal missile batteries, electronic warfare divisions, and drone operations were included, with medium, long-range cruise missiles in full display. This exercise wasn't just another drill. It was a strategic statement by Tehran signaling that it remains capable of projecting power, even after Israel claims it gave a setback to Iran. The Israeli Prime Minister has 2 clear choices now. He can take the ceasefire, ease the bloodshed, and open the door to a future where Israel is not isolated on the world stage. Or he can double down, expand the Gaza offensive, gamble with international outrage, and risk dragging Israel into a war it may never fully control. Either way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not just deciding the fate of Gaza, he's deciding the fate of his own political survival. And for Israel, it stands much more insecure than it was before October the 7th. I'm Ananya Dutta. Thanks for watching Grey Zone.